Welcome to Holistic Nutrition for the Whole You. I am so excited to share my colleague MaryAnn Marks with you and her phenomenal program about looking at labs. MaryAnn has made it possible for me to do analysis of labs in a much more efficient, time-saving manner and not have to spend hours researching oddball things or finding out long afterwards that this is what the direction I should have gone instead. So I want my students to know about this program. I want my colleagues to know about this program. Now, as clinicians, we are constantly having to look at labs, whether it's a few pages or an entire history that encompasses 2 years when we meet a client. Those labs provide a lot of key information for us that help us to put together the puzzle of what's been happening with their health. But sometimes the story is convoluted. There's all of these backstories and there's side streets that information is tucked away on. And LabSmarts has made it possible for a lot of us who have been doing it old school to get through all of these side stories and down to the nitty gritty and the foundation of what's going on with our clients much, much faster. This is a fantastic program for nurses to be using that are in private practice, whether they're family nurse practitioners, midwives, or they're just the nurses working with a colleague in an office and they're wanting to go through labs in a more efficient manner. We get into the rut of looking at the preset highs and lows and normal ranges that the laboratory companies provide us. But these aren't always the best choice. These are not the place we want to look for those multitude of clients that slip through the gray areas where we can never really figure out what's going on with them. And unfortunately, sometimes, especially in the case of women's health, these clients are the ones that get listed as the difficult clients. They're the ones that slip through the cracks and end up going to practitioner after practitioner after practitioner, trying to find out what's really going on with them. So LabSmarts is going to help us save time. It's going to help us be more efficient in what we're doing. And the most important key thing, LabSmarts, it's going to help us all be better clinicians and our clients being able to reach their goals. Instead of spending months digging around in the muck, trying to figure out what's going on with somebody, we have this fantastic tool now to put to work. So, MaryAnn, let's talk a little bit about LabSmarts. That's LabSmarts. Make sure you get that S on the address line. Tell us a little bit about your story. I know that you've got a software programming background that led towards you fell off of the software Intel program or whatever you were in after you got very successful in that, and you became a nutritionist. How do you go from software guru to a nutrition counselor?
Well, so back in 2014, I left my 20-year corporate career in the technology industry. And I decided to just go and get a nutrition consultant certification at Bowman College. A few years before that, I started studying health on my own. Everybody has their story of, how they get into holistic health from their previous career. And mine was, my grandmother had a massive stroke and was paralyzed on her right side and couldn't talk. And then, a few years later, my dad had a stroke and they had heart disease. And the way I was eating and my lifestyle, I was headed down that path. So I just on my own, while I was working, started studying nutrition and couldn't believe that it was all about food. And so I'm like, I just need to change careers and I want to learn more so I can help other people. So I left my job, went to Bowman College, and so being an engineer in background, my favorite module at Bowman was the one where it was a nutritional assessment module where they talked about symptom assessments and diet and lifestyle, but they also talked about blood work analysis, and that just fascinated me because you go to the doctor and you get your blood work and you don't pay attention to really any of it, and like there's just such a wealth of information here. And so when I started, so immediately I made a spreadsheet like a lot of engineers do. And I started automating the patterns, and then I started using that spreadsheet with my clients after I graduated, and I would ask them for their blood work and I would run it through my spreadsheet. And that information, along with the other assessments, really helped me get to the root cause faster, be a better practitioner, give them better recommendations. So, but my favorite part of working with clients was analyzing their blood work. And that was the engineer in me. So I just started learning everything I could about it. I started reading hematology books and immunology books, and I've been to like 5 different of the top functional blood chemistry analysis weekend seminars. I took online courses. I just everything I could in that. And I started then analyzing blood work for my colleagues' clients. So I was just so into it. I'm like, so like I made software in my previous career. I spent half of that career at Motorola Solutions, and one of the things I did there was I invented software that automated the process of configuring the two-way radios that the police officers use, all the network infrastructure. And so that saved time and reduced defects. And so I've created automation software before. So I thought I could turn the spreadsheet into software. And I love to automate complicated processes. And I knew how complicated it was. It's a lot of work to do blood work analysis. And I thought I could make this software for my colleagues to make it easier for them. So I went for it, and 3 years later, here we are. I'm ready to share my software with all my colleagues.
And now we're going to take a few minutes with MaryAnn while she talks to us about how you can incorporate this fantastic program into your clinical practice, into your consulting practice, into your education services, just how you can put it to work.
So LabSmarts is a functional blood chemistry analysis software. So what that means is that we look at the values, we plot them on color-coded bar graphs that represent various reference ranges, but we take it a step further where we put in a range called the optimal range, and that represents optimal health. We know that the lab ranges on the blood work that you get from the lab, they represent 95% of the population tested at that lab or nationwide. And a lot of people who go get their blood work done are not healthy. So those upper and lower ends of those ranges don't really represent optimal health. So what we do in the graphs there, you can see the green optimal range. We define that range to represent optimal health, and that's where you want your values to fall into. I've spent thousands of hours in PubMed, which is a research study database where I found various studies based on mortality studies where they look at different markers and the cutoff points for those different markers. And if your values are above or below those different cutoff points, you may be at a greater risk of death or certain diseases. All those ranges are backed by different studies that help you really focus in on where you or your clients want to get into that optimal health range. And then we take it a step further. The most comprehensive analysis I have right now is around anemia. I don't call it anemia because I'm a nutrition consultant, and I know that we're not allowed to diagnose. So I really focused on making sure that any terms within the software are non-diagnostic. So we call anemia suboptimal blood oxygen delivery, which is the process of blood delivering oxygen to all cells of the body. And we let you know if the likelihood that you have suboptimal blood oxygen delivery. But we also take it a step further where we help you identify the possible root causes of why you might have that anemia. Because we know that, if you had low hemoglobin, that is not just iron deficiency. There's various reasons why your hemoglobin may be low. And there's even your body may be sequestering that iron if you have a bacterial or viral infection, because we know that bacteria consume iron. And so your body, if you're fighting an infection, your body will purposely sequester that iron, store that away, keep it out of the serum until your body can fight that infection. But if you see low hemoglobin in that scenario and you start taking iron supplements, then that's just going to feed that bacteria. So we do all this pattern analysis based on various markers to help you identify why you might have anemia.
So one of the things here that you said that caught my attention is that you don't use diagnostic information, diagnostic terminology. And then the other thing that caught my attention is that you have color coded everything. So by color coding, it makes it very easy for our eyes to key in on information, and then that we look farther. You've backed everything with science. This is critical. They know that it's reliable. It's come from sources that they trust, like PubMed. And I see on your website you've provided a great little video so that people can walk through this information, and that you have all of the information on pricing structure. We run into software that's geared towards the $150,000, $550,000, $1 million practices, that every one of these automated softwares run you, $25, $50 a month. And you and I both know from being in the world of nutrition, just like for those people who are family nurse practitioners or in the nursing industry, and this is a demographic of practitioners that, we don't top out unless we're working with celebrities and those kinds of price brackets. And so what I love is that your dedication to keeping this at a price point that somebody just starting out as a student, or somebody who's been doing this for over 20 years like myself, can grasp this and grab it. So can you tell us a little something about your pricing structure? How did you come up with this pricing structure for us?
Well, one of my main goals was not only to try to make it non-diagnostic for my nutrition colleagues, but also to try to make it affordable. So there's a few other programs out there that are $75, $100 a month, and that's just not affordable for those of us who are nutrition consultants, nurse practitioners. I really wanted to keep it affordable. So we have two different tiers, and you can sign up for a free account and get 3 free tests just to try it out. But then we have the first tier is $9 a month, and you get 10 tests a month. So usually practitioners, they'll sign up for the free account, add in maybe their own blood work for the 3 tests, really like what they see and want to try it out on their clients. So they'll sign up for the 10 tests a month, $9 a month account. And then they start incorporating blood work even more into their practice, where they'll take blood work for their client in the beginning, and then maybe 2-3 months after they've implemented their recommendations, to show and help them track their progress. So maybe they go from the 10 tests a month to the unlimited account, which is just $19 a month.
I love that you have the export analysis PDF option, because we are in an age of electronic medical records, and this is really important aspect for people who are doing everything electronically.
You could save the analysis of the results, or also we have this comparison table that you can save to a PDF, where we compare your current set of results, or your clients, your current set of results to your previous set of results, to give you a quick indicator if each marker is improving or declining from the previous.
And that's something that we lose in the electronic medical record system, is that comparison, where before we might be looking at the labs from a couple of years, and we can see the changes in those labs in the old school paper filing systems. But I know many of my colleagues are talking about how hard it is to track what was going on with somebody, and all they look at is the information that's in front of them right now, which really could be not changed at all. In the case of a woman going through menopause, her cholesterol levels may be exactly the same at 68 as they were at 58, and yet the physician says, well, you're 68, you have to go on cholesterol meds. Or it could be that her numbers have significantly changed on ferritin or iron, and nobody had seen that, because all they were looking at was the lab in front of them, and it still listed it within normal ranges, which we know from our experience that with ferritin, it's an absolutely ridiculous range. 12 to 500 or 15 to something or other. And there's a lot that goes on with women's health in that quote unquote normal range. So I love that you, and so can you, of course, we have to ask this question, can you cancel it anytime or?
Yeah, that's right there. Yeah, I mean, you can cancel it if you want to start out with monthly and try it out. But a lot of our users start out with a monthly and they love it and they want to add more tests, and then they go to the unlimited, and then they just go yearly unlimited. And so that they've been finding it so valuable that
Yeah.
if you click the yearly there, you get 2 months for free.
Yearly is definitely the way to go because you get those extra months. Now, I know that this is the question that all of the nurse practitioners and the physicians are going to want to know about. Is this HIPAA compliant? Is it secure? Do they have to worry about any of their patients' personally identifiable information getting hacked or anything like that?
Yeah, and so we use Amazon Web Services, AWS, for the software. So it's cloud-based, hosted, and we implement the HIPAA compliance packs that they have already incorporated into the software. So we ensure, I mean, the data that's stored on the servers are encrypted, and it meets all of the HIPAA compliance requirements that we need.
That is fantastic.
And if you scroll down a little bit more on the website, you could see the comparison table. If you scroll down a little more, you could see how that's the comparison table that I was referring to, where it'll compare your current to previous and give you a little thumbs up or thumbs down to let you know if your client is moving in the right direction.
Oh, this is just phenomenal. And
the table up above. But this is also a cool feature where we'll plot on the same graph the current and the previous results. So you could see quickly graphically how that compares your current results to your previous.
And it's color coded so that it's all very easy to follow. For those people that key in on color well, these cute little thumb up and thumb down and the highlightation. This is just for somebody who has 3 minutes to look at something and then respond to a question from a clinician or respond to a client. This is just such a tremendous time saver. Knowing that it's HIPAA compliant is very important, that everything is on a secure server. And from my own experience, I can tell you it does not bog down your computer the way that so many of the other programs do. I use satellite internet, so my system sometimes is really picky about what we're doing. And I've been able to access this and not have delays in rolling through information. It's just very, very well thought out software. MaryAnn, thank you so much for taking us through your phenomenal program. I'm hoping that everybody who sees this on our website will want to jump on board and grab it. Everybody who's seeing this through our Facebook page, please be sure that you check out labsmarts.com. If you have any questions, contact MaryAnn through the contact page. If you are a student, an educator, or make sure that you make that clear in your communication with her, because she might have something special just for you in the future as more of this comes up. Or she may be able to provide you with some insightful information that will make this much easier for you to use. Also, MaryAnn's available to talk with your students. I'm sure she'd be willing to come on and be guest presenter for your classes. I know I'm going to tag her to be a guest presenter at my classes. And thanks so much for being here. Thank you for doing this. It is such a great tool. It's going to save so much time for us. This is Dr. Tammera Karr wishing you good day, good health, and real food. Don't forget to embrace those traditional foods that make our DNA sing.
Thank you, Tammera. I appreciate you having me on. Bye, everyone.